It is the Nightcap, brought to you, as always, by Hail Mary's Sports Bar in Cheviot. Hail Mary's has brand new walk-in coolers, brand new appliances, brand new speakers, TVs, all this stuff. 27 TVs in their entire space, 3 outside. They got the 9-screen video wall, always featuring Cincinnati sports. They are located in the Dora District in Cheviot, so you can walk bar to bar with your drinks. But why leave Hail Mary's when they got ice-cold Cincy Light on tap in those 32.8-degree beer frosted glasses? Also, they got food trucks on the weekend, so you can make sure you get your grub on. But Chad is out today. He is on the volleyball dad tour, and so Keegan and I are filling in his stead. Thanks for showing up for me, Keegan. I appreciate you. But you were at the spring showcase today that was moved inside, no longer open to the public. I made the trek out to Cincinnati as well. Dave was there. Austin was there. George Vogel was there. We were fully represented at BCJ outside of our fearless leader. And of course, Brent and Ryan. So they should have plenty of questions for and Chad. I'm the only one who's I'm gonna almost promise you Chad's gonna ask if you want to be on the
on the BBP
on Monday. I don't know that he's gonna rely on me for that information. But let's get underway here. We did talk to after the game. We talked to Coach Satterfield. We talked to Keon Coleman's best friend because Keon Coleman was in attendance. I had no idea we were going to see a Bills wide receiver there, but that was a thing today. We talked to Jonathan Thompson. We talked to Sauce's protege, Gravy. Who's back. He had the first pick of the game, Gravy. But we saw more interceptions today than we saw all season last year. So there's something to be said for that. But Keegan, what stood out to you? Coach says offense. He thinks defense didn't win. He wouldn't say offense won, but he didn't say defense won. All the players defensively said defense won. I think defense won. But what did you see today, man?
Yeah, I also think the defense won. From the beginning, they really just set the tone all over the field. They were getting tons of pressure on the quarterback. Marquez Parker had a great day. The linebackers had a great day. They were making plays. But I think what I wanted to see was pressure on the QB and then turnovers, and that's what we saw. Tons of really big plays by the DBs. A lot of really well executed pass breakups. Daniel James had a good day. Obviously, I think Gravy probably had his best day of the spring. If I was going to give out an MVP of the game, I would say it would probably be Gravy, and that's saying something because JV Gibson had 3 touchdowns again in the second scrimmage of the year. But how that kid has kind of persevered through the whole Achilles process, and he was maybe the most heralded recruit in that 2024 class just because of the length he had at corner. And when you see that kind of length, you automatically think of Sauce. So the ceiling is there, and you're starting to see it based on how he's performing in the spring. But yeah, it was good day for the defense. If I was going to give the offense some props, it would be the touchdowns. I think they scored 5 times, is what Sat said. The running game was not there, but JC French did a good job of, if people are covered and there's no explosive plays, take the underneath stuff, get a few yards, move it along. That's what he did a lot early, and then once they got into the red zone, they were pretty efficient.
In fairness, when you say the running game was not there, you mean there was just no big breakaway plays. Now, they were also playing a style of football where as soon as you're touched, you're down, basically.
It's true.
So when you're trying to run an offense that's predicated largely around inside running, and you're getting touched by a defensive lineman or even a linebacker early in that run, a run that you and Coach alluded to this when we were talking to him after the scrimmage, but you're probably going to get a couple more yards, maybe as much as 4 or 5 more yards, if not completely breaking out of the tackle. So take it with a grain of salt when you do talk about the run game never really got going, is I guess what I'm saying. But I agree. The defense, Coach Nate Woody has to be happy. We talked to several defensive players afterwards. Jonathan Thompson standing out in my mind as saying they haven't even installed the entirety of the defense yet.
Yeah.
And he still feels really comfortable with what's going on as things currently exist. They're going to continue installing throughout the summer, but seeing so much pressure ratcheted up in this practice has to make you feel good as a fan, especially when Coach is saying he said, 7 or 8 different looks that they saw defensively. So all of that has to feel good as you're looking at a new install of the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nate Woody, like his standards right now are very, very high based on just how energetic he is on the sideline. Like the expectations that he set are very, very high. And I think it's good when you come into a team with the leadership that they have on the defensive side of the ball with Jonathan Thompson, with Brian Sims, with the guys that have been here for 3 years, like Gravy Johnson and Daniel James. There's a few more sprinkled in there. Marquez Parker. They can all kind of mesh and understand that. And I think everyone is just really excited about the defense and how it's going to be different because you're going to be able to get pressure. And it takes some pressure off of being perfect in the defensive backfield. And I think that allows your DBs to play freer and probably end up playing better. So I think it's all around great for the defense at this point.
And it wasn't just turnovers that happened as far as the pressure that we saw. We even saw swatted balls. I remember, I believe it was Kenny Worthy who had a swatted ball behind the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, we saw some different things that we just simply didn't see last season. I'm curious, do you think emotionally Coach Nate Woody is more emotional on the sideline or Walt Stewart? Because both of them, it's close.
Yeah, Woody was screaming at a ref today. He wanted to delay a game. He was like pointing at the scoreboard. He's like 2, 1, 0. 0. Are you going to throw the flag? Screaming at him. And I was like, this guy is on another level. But yeah, Walt's always been like that. I think he's probably excited to be in a scheme that can actually produce some pressure from his guys and get his numbers up a little bit. And I already mentioned Marquez Parker, but I think Parker has a really, really good chance of leading this team in sacks because just the body of work that he's already been able to develop through 2 years, played a lot as a true freshman. And he's also super strong, super quick, and just really, really good at football. So he's a guy that the defense is going to lean on a lot. And he could ultimately be the linchpin for this scheme, like having a lot of success.
Now, I thought the receiver, you already mentioned one receiver in JV, but we also saw some great things from receivers today. Gio, I thought looked good out there. He looks like he's running really clean routes. Cade Wolford is going to be a problem for somebody out there. Elijah Johnson had a massive play.
Jones.
Jones. I'm thinking Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Johnson has been heralded maybe by all counts as the most improved player, returning player right now offensively.
Yeah. If I'm being completely honest, I haven't seen Isaiah Johnson pop off in the team periods and the scrimmages like I thought that he would have. Maybe it's a little bit of him just still trying to figure out like his role and molding into that actual receiver. But that's something I'm really going to be looking at in fall camp. And if it's to a point where like he's continuing to not make those plays, like get those yards after catch plays and break off those 50-yard plays, or even just be consistent, like have a practice where you catch 7 or 8 balls in the team period. That's going to have me scratching my head a little bit heading into the season. But, I think about it and you go down the line of receivers and there's 5 or 6 guys to where if I saw them line up on that first snap of the season as the ones, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like any combination of them. And right now you would think it would be JV Gibson, Isaiah Johnson, and then probably Lorenzo Fenner. But Gio Contosis is making his case to be one of those better guys. And we watched him last year around this time, and we're like, that kid is not a freshman. Like, technically he is, but he's as well built as a freshman is on this team. And he's only gotten bigger, he's only gotten faster, and he's also only gotten more confident. So that kid has a chance to have a really, really big year.
Well, and JV Gibson had nothing but glowing compliments about everything from his leadership for Gio, Gio's leadership, Gio's just the way that he works, and both before practice, during practice, and after practice, making sure that he's doing all of the things, and how both Gio and JV push each other. And that just almost seems like a natural fit. I don't know that there's two more receivers on this entire squad that are more in tune alike than those two guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Malachi Henry had a really good first scrimmage, and then you already mentioned Cade Walford. So that's 6 guys in JV: Isaiah Johnson, Lorenzo Fenner, Gio, Cade Walford, Malachi Henry, who they were all brought in. And when you look at 2026, it's like, okay, this kid's supposed to have some sort of role. You just kind of don't know what it is. And you also look down, like JV Gibson, I think, is done after this year. Isaiah Johnson is a true junior. Cade Walford is, I think, a redshirt sophomore. Gio's a redshirt freshman. So there's a lot of eligibility left with these guys who, like, they could play really well this year and put up stats and then have a ton of eligibility left to continue that. So the player personnel department did a very, very good job. And not only getting guys who have eligibility left, but also guys who like can compete for spots this year and multiple years down the road. So that puts even more pressure on JC French to have a really, really good year, because there's not going to be a lot of excuses like in Sorsby's first year or in Emory Jones's year of the lack of weapons, or you need to update the weapons, because these guys have been really stellar through spring ball.
Yeah. And we've talked about JC French and his ability to make the intermediate pass. Today, it seemed like it was almost all he made. We saw a couple deep balls, and I don't even know that he was the one necessarily throwing them.
Samaj and Brooks Goodman threw those.
Who hit Cade Wolford on that touchdown? Or am I thinking Elijah Jones?
That might have been JC French. Samaj Jones hit Elijah Jones on that deep ball down the left sideline. And then Brooks Goodman threw it to Gio, who had the big run after the catch touchdown.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you talk about Gio making a case for himself to start. I think Cade Wolford made a case for himself today. Yeah. He just seemed to be everywhere.
Yeah, they in the team period and a lot of the spring practices, they've lined him up as a true running back. Like, he sets up in the backfield. And I think the crazy thing about him is you kind of see him as a get him the ball in space, let him run around, let him beat a one-on-one on a short end breaking or out breaking route. But what do you have last year was it Akron? It wasn't Akron. It was Kent State. 580 yards on like 19 catches.
It wasn't
like his yards per catch is insane. So obviously, he can stretch the field, and he's done that consistently. And also I've seen him kind of just sit down in the zone, get the ball, and let him work in space. They've made that a point to use him with. So he can really hurt you from any stage. I'm just curious on how they're going to use him, because he is kind of that Swiss Army knife, maybe a specific formation he can make the most danger, but you have to have those true receivers in there, like you did last year with Noah Jennings, Jeff Caldwell, and Cyrus Allen, those guys that can just go up and get a 50-50 ball whenever you need it. But it also, like, JC French isn't going to play the same game as Brendan Sorsby, so maybe that 50-50 ball thing isn't as whatever word I'm looking for, usual in this upcoming season.
Well, with Wolford able to run the running back position, that's nothing but a good thing, because you look at the running back room today, as all 4 of them were out there. That was it. That was the entire room. That room's a little thin right now because of injury, but you ran into a situation last year where I'm not sure where they would have gone if there would have been another injury down late into the season. So not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Wolford to be able to line up at running back there.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that said,
And
anything else you got from today? I was going to give you the space.
I was just going to go off on running backs. You look at it and like if I had to predict who would take the first snap of the season, it'd probably right now be Jabron Payne just because of like the experience he has and what he's shown in spring. But if it was Zion Johnson, I also wouldn't be surprised. Cole Tab was running the ball great before he got hurt, and I'm told it's not a horrible injury that's going to keep him out long term. And then Zylan Perry is also a guy who, I was told that he would have the best chance when he committed to be the running back one. So there's going to be a lot of fighting in the fall. I think the running backs and wide receivers are going to be the most competitive positions across the team. So they have the pieces to produce a really good offense, and I'll just keep coming back to it. It's if JC French can have a good season and the defense can be what we think they can be, you could win 2 or 3 more games than a lot of people would expect you to.
Well, you brought up the word commitment. Unless you got anything else on the game.
Good.
There were 2 commits, one during the game. I don't know.
Yeah, that was great. I love my job. Yeah.
They got you. One during the game as a defensive line, John Amofa Jr. commits to Cincinnati. And then you have your 2027 quarterback, Camden Hughes, who selects the Bearcats as the team he wants to commit to. That happened, I guess, after the game. But you've got articles on both those guys up on BearcatJournal.com. Anything you want to talk about with them before we get out of here?
Yeah, there was one plus of Amofa breaking that during the game, because as I was writing the story, I was like, I wonder how they're going to use him. And then Cass Simmons walks by, and I'm like, hey, Cass, is he interior? He goes, yeah, interior D-line is going to be a nose tackle. I was like, all right, thanks, perfect. So I just threw that in the story. But he's a guy who, like, a lot of people, they make their difference on the high school level with just a really good get off. Like, he just beats offensive linemen quick to the punch. Mainly uses finesse moves, but he's really, really strong. Gets to the QB really often. So that's kind of just that typical big-bodied interior defensive lineman who they're going to try to add to his frame and see what he can be. And then Camden Hughes, when I turned on this kid's huddle, I was just like, that's Brennan Sorsby. He's playing exactly like Brennan Sorsby. He's running around, maybe running a little too early, slinging the ball all over the field, taking deep shots, really like floating around in the pocket, keeping plays alive, keeping his eyes downfield. So I really, really liked his film. They are still pursuing Dane Weber heavily, which Dane Weber would probably be one of the better quarterback commits UC's ever gotten in like program history. I think he's a 4-star 91 by 247, or it could be like a 4-star 90. Kid from, I think it's Chaparral, California. So it would be a big get to get him to come from across the country. But I know he's got, I think, USC on him, UCLA. I think Georgia just offered him as well. So they still really like him. And if he wants to play at UC, there's still going to be a spot, because the Bearcats have usually just taken 1 quarterback per class. But in this case, they could end up getting 2 if they can get their like number 1 target. But Camden Hughes does look really, really good. I like the size, and I think 2,500 plus yards in his sophomore and junior season with, I think, let's do the math, 36 plus 27 is 63 to 9 touchdown to interception ratio over 2 years. Okay. So very, very good stats. And then obviously the senior year could be even bigger. Maybe he'll get a few bigger offers than North Texas and UTSA. And then a lot of Bearcats fans will actually think he can be pretty good.
I love how that always works out. See Desmond Ritter. All right. Well, good stuff, Keegan. We appreciate you. The grind never stops. Never stops. But,
absolutely.
Even in the middle of a football game. All right. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us here on the Nightcap. Thanks to all of you who watched. Sorry that all of you weren't able to make it to the showcase today due to the inclement weather, but Yeah, Chad will be back here. We'll probably do another nightcap tomorrow night, I'd imagine. Hopefully we have some more to talk about with basketball before then. But other than that, we'll be back on Monday night doing the BBP. Maybe Keegan joins us. Who knows? But for Keegan Nicholson, I'm Aaron Smith. We'll be back here again tomorrow night. And go check out Hail Marys and Cheviot next time you're on the West Side and Cincy Light. We appreciate you.